Hi folks, my perspective here. In my last video clip, some folks said that they didn't understand, or didn't quite get how this video sequence of the midnight sun, how it proves that the earth is flat and that the sun is orbiting around a flat earth. So some people will tell you, no, this video footage is filmed from a man who's standing on a spinning ball and the sun is fixed. He's on a spinning ball and he's filming the sun. So we're going to have a look at these two arguments. Now, because some folks didn't understand it in the last one, what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to handle it from a totally different angle. So if you watch the other one, stick with me because there's extra information towards the end of the clip that I'd like to share with you. So let's have a look. Is this filmed from a man on a spinning ball? So let's look. So remember, the sun is fixed at the Earth center and the Earth is leaning over 23.4 degrees, and the man, he's turning in a circle and he would be filming the sun. So what would he see? Would he see that sequence that we saw? So let's look closer at the man and the earth if he was on a spinning ball. You see, if the man was on a spinning ball, he's spinning around the North Pole, which is the red arrow. The mountains would rotate around him. You see the numbers rotate around him. But he's always looking forward. He's looking in the same direction. He's not looking behind him. He's facing the same direction. He cannot turn around and film behind him. Right? It's easy to understand. And now look at his angle. You see he's leaning over backwards, then he leans over sideways, then he leans over forwards, sideways and backwards and so forth. In other words, if we connect that video footage to his orbit, this is what he would be seeing. So he's turning, he's leaning over, now he's upright, and now he leans over to his right, left, and he's upright again, and the sun's on the horizon. Then he leans over to his right. So this footage is vertical with the man. From this angle, I'm just showing it to you from this angle in the animation. So now the issue arises. You see, if we center that image and we lock that image down on the horizon, what is the sun doing? Now look. See, the sun is simply moving up and then down. So the sun is moving up and down. Right? So the sun, if we can use another term, is zigzagging up and down. So what is causing that zigzag? So I'll say no. What's causing that is the tilt, the 23.4 degree tilt of the earth, because the man is leaning backwards and now he's leaning forwards. Then he leans backwards and forwards, that's what's causing the tilt. Well, then you have a big problem. You see, the man, if the tilt, if that is caused by leaning backwards and leaning forwards, you see he's leaning the same distance to the left and to the right. How can he only register his backwards and forwards motion? You see, the North Pole is in the center and he's spinning around the North Pole. It would have to register motion, left, backward, forward, his complete motion. You can't just film the up and down motion because he's not just moving backwards and forwards. He's moving in a circle. So, the sun then, if he was on a spinning ball, should move in a circle. Now listen carefully. Some people, even in the flat earth community, don't want you to look at this video footage and analyze it. They'll say, no, the sun is too far away for it to show any motion. The point is, it is showing motion in his video clip. The sun is moving up and down. So you cannot argue then that the sun is so far away that it doesn't show any motion. The sun's motion is registered, it's up and down. So that argument goes out the window. So now I've created an animation, exactly what the man would see. Now I've locked a camera onto him. This is the same motion that we saw earlier, and that's simply what the cameraman would see. So the cameraman would see the sun moving in front of him like this. And the earth and the mountains is turning around the man. The numbers there, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're orbiting, they're rotating around him. This is not what we're seeing in the footage. We do not see this. What we are seeing is a man who's turning and he's forming the sun orbiting around his position. So I've lined up when the sun is on the horizon and he's slightly off-centered. So the sun goes up and the sun goes down. So now what is causing the sun to move up and down? See, the sun is moving up and down. So how's that work? What is causing that? Well, it's the sun orbiting around him. Now when I look at this in detail, you see the sun's motion is in a straight line. Watch. The sun's path is in straight lines. If I take those lines out the way, you just don't notice it. So, the man's rotating 360 degrees. Every time it rotates, the sun goes up and down. It forms a triangle. Each side is 12 hours. So each triangle is 24 hours. The base of that triangle is 360 degrees. So over a week, that would make it 2,520. Now if you read your Bible, you'll understand that 7 times is equal to 2,520 in Revelation. But that's another issue. So now if I take those triangles, and I put them in a circle, I get this image. I get this pattern. So the top triangle would be a day, right? And each line would represent a week. Right. So it's not difficult to understand. This is the image that many of the people use in secret societies, used to represent the sun. And so why? Well, now if I take that image, the sequence of the sun turning, if I take that sequence of the sun up and down and I put it in an orbit around this man, now there's no trickery here. I've just simply taken that image and I'm rotating it around. Now watch how the sun follows those lines. So after each rotation, the sun now is on the next line and now makes a new triangle. So what does this teach us? That there is perfect precision in the motion of the sun and the moon and the stars. That there is a creator. That is undeniable that there is a creator. And they're trying to hide that from us. You see, they give us nonsense that the earth is a spinning ball. But we know that all the trees grow towards the sunlight. So how does this work? This tree's at the equator. 6 months later, when the sun's on the opposite side, how do trees grow towards the sunlight? I'll tell you, gravity. Gravity makes the tree grow upright. The trees, plants grow towards the light. How does that model and the plants, nature that we see around us, how does it fit onto the ball? It does not. We are simply being lied to. They don't want you to see the perfection in creation. Because there's a creator. And that is undeniable. So, if I look at the pattern in plants, you'll see that plants spiral out when they grow. And this spiral pattern that we see in plants perfectly matches the sun that is orbiting above the plants. You see, the plants are all at the same angle to the sun. The sun's above them. And they all spiral outward. If we take our time and we look at the creation, and it's awesome, we'll start to see the creator's hand. Look at this tree. This tree is split. And it's split in a spiral because it's twisting, because the sun is orbiting overhead. So if we just look at the patterns that we have in creation, and we put them together, we will see that it all makes sense because the sun is orbiting above the flat earth. The path of the sun and the moon is overhead on the flat earth. We need to take time to look at creation and to thank the Creator for creating us, and to open our eyes and to show us and to teach us about His creation. And He will. No doubt about it. So, the image sequence of the midnight sun shows that the earth is flat and the sun is orbiting overhead. So I hope this different perspective and how I handle it this time makes it easier for you to grasp on. Ultimately, I hope it's something for you to think about and to pray about. So cheers and thanks for watching.